Welcome to the Building a Better Tomorrow Today podcast, where we bring you inspiring stories and conversations that help us create a better future for ourselves and the world around us. I'm excited to introduce our guest today, Dr. Furlow, who is an accomplished author and scholar. He recently wrote a book called Black Male Triumph Story, Successfully Achieving Graduate Degrees. Dr. Furlow's book is an inspiring collection of stories that highlight the incredible achievements of Black men who have overcome obstacles to earn advanced degrees in a variety of fields. Through these stories, Dr. Furlow aims to inspire and empower young Black men to pursue their dreams and achieve their goals, despite the many challenges they may face. In today's episode, we're going to talk to Dr. Furlow about his book, his own experiences as a Black man in academia, and his thoughts on how we can create a more equitable and just society for us all. Join us right now for a wonderful conversation. Let's go ahead and get started. And again, I'm your host, Amelia.
And I'm your co-host, Albert Furlow.
And I'm Carolyn.
Let's get started. Let's jump right into the questions.
And that's Dr. Furlow.
And so, Carolyn, you want to go with the first question?
Well, first, I want to commend you, Dr. Furlow, on your book and on your doctorate degree. I think that's very commendable. We're all so proud of you. And I pretty much was very intrigued by your book, how you took us from 200 years ago when education started in America on into the present day, and you demonstrated our pitfalls as well as our triumphs. And I just thought it was very interesting, and it brought us to some interesting facts that probably people didn't really realize. So my biggest question to you is, I know that you went through great efforts to write this, and you interviewed those 16 young men, and I thought all of their comments were fascinating. I am interested in knowing, like, in a perfect world, what would you like to come out of your book? What would you like to see manifest in the world from reading your book?
Nice. Well, that's awesome. First, I want to say thank you. Thank you, Mayor Furlow, for that great introduction.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Furlow. Thank you, Carolyn Furlow. This is a great opportunity. I want to say y'all look great. Y'all look amazing today.
Thank you.
Y'all for this.
Thank you. Same to you.
But going back to the dissertation, definitely, it did take a lot of effort. Going back 200 years into present day was really to give people a simple, logistic way of viewing things. Taking it back would really show them how not just what we endured, but where we started. I wanted to show people where we started. Basically, education, see that we didn't have education. But if you really look at it, education started in the homes and in the churches, in raising and tutoring. So just really getting that right narrative out. So looking at triumphs more better than looking at the failures. That's what my dissertation studied on. And looking at successful reasons why they're triumph, and seeing what was the reasons why they were successful, why they graduated, and why they stayed. So looking at the 16 participants, in all naturality, it worked well. It showed me that there was work to do. We're doing a great job, and we need to catch up.
Wow.
So,
very good.
In a perfect world, I could see that, and it's hard to be perfect, but a perfect world is just all living together, making change, and one person at a time, basically. I would love for one person at a time to either read it or get a change, turn the leaf, and feel that there is work to be done within not only Black males or anybody who's struggling within education, higher education, and beyond. So that's definitely one of my reasons for a perfect world of change.
Nice.
Very good.
Awesome.
Okay. I don't want to give away the details in your book, but I just want you to just elaborate a little bit on, you have this thing I'll call the feed theory. I don't want you to give it away totally, but just give a basic synopsis on, on the writing and the concept behind that.
Yes, the feed theory. It originated through the dissertation. It came out in chapter 5 after all the findings have been done, after everything's been analyzed and structured out. That's when the feed theory came out. But before the feed theory, came the SBMPD model, where the successful Black males of graduate degrees, productive graduate degrees, which came into the FEET theory, which is the Furlow engagement and endurance theory, which elaborates not only what we've been through, but we're effectively doing, and also within 5 years that this theory should take over education and higher education, where practitioners, professors, even presidents can look at this model and see that it's a working functional model for all and not just for one Black race. So that's really the
nice. Let's give a round of applause for that. I know that took a lot of work and a lot of years to develop, which brings me to my question I have is, what challenges did you face, if you don't mind sharing, while writing this book?
That's a great question. Challenges can be a lot. Can be internal challenges to external. I know internal was sometimes I'm human. I just didn't want to write. Sometimes I had a writer's block.
Keep it real.
So sometimes it was those days. But to get past those days, I remember just your motivation. It keeps asking, why do you want this? Why do you want to finish? So sometimes I'll wake up at 4 a.m, write to 4 to 8, just having those quiet hours where you can write. That was one of my challenges internally. Externally, there are different factors. The school I went to is HSI, so it's basically a Hispanic serving institution. And of course, my dissertation is a Black male triumph story. So there was a few challenges there, because there I had 2 academic professors which were Hispanic.
Okay.
Of course, Black. So there's a challenge there trying to show to my professors what's the relation of what really matters and how to come across, I want to say, keeping it real.
Wow, that's deep.
Keeping it real, authenticity style of my culture. So that was definitely one of the 2 of the big challenges, internally and externally.
Wow. And listeners, do y'all hear this? This is a book that you want to tune into. This sounds exciting.
Oh, yes.
And
very exciting.
we are very, very grateful for you sharing your knowledge and just your years of experience in developing this theory that you have. And that brings us to our next question. I know you said you had a question as well related to the book.
Well, let's see. I just wanted to know, out of all of your participants, was there anyone or any comments that stood out to you that you might want to share?
That's a good question.
First of all, that's a great question. And yes, all 16 participants left some golden gems. It's hard to pick out one pinpoint, but I do, on top of my mind, have Ray Johnson was one of the first participants. He's a very successful double major, double masters, and he also had a doctorate.
Nice.
He actually won the dissertation of the year last year, so definitely big ups to him. Yes. One of his major topics I got out of him was whitewashed. He had a whole segment about whitewash, and he was saying this is time that he can't sugarcoat stuff anymore. This is a time that not only professors, but everyone should hear what's really going on and not undermined or coming from a different mouth, coming straight from the source. So I thought that was big, hearing about whitewash. And another one out the top of the mouth, I want to say Mr. Langston Clark, his idea of already fitting in and not really comparing ourselves to the binary of white people. Let's compare ourselves to each other. What about the greatness of the Black experience? I mean, education is so caught on comparing Black and white.
I love that.
And just comparing yourself within the Black and not always comparing. So those 2 off the top, but not comparing, but they're all have some great gems. Those 2 right now are really sticking on top of my head right now.
Yeah, those were good ones.
Very good.
I like that.
I have a question for you. When you received your doctorate, can you explain how jubilant you were and what was going through your mind when you finally received it and you got that phone call and you got whatever they provide you with to say that you're successfully Dr. Furlow?
I love that. Walk us through that
feeling.
I love
that question. Well, first of all, to be honest with you, it took time. It took a full 10 years. I thought I was done 2 years ago, but I actually wasn't. So to actually be done and actually get the email from everybody of court and saying that you officially graduated was something true and God-breaking. I prayed and prayed, and it finally came through. Definitely getting that. I want to say it really hit graduation, walking the stage. I really felt that God made this happen. It was his intuition, and everything came right at the right moment. But definitely, it was a great cloud over me. And that's definitely something I look thankful to, and I was proud of that moment.
Yeah, you had a pretty busy year. That was what, last year, 2022? You got married, you had a baby, and you became a doctor, all in the same year.
Congratulations.
And you were dealing with COVID.
Yes.
That's a lot of excitement. A lot of excitement and a lot of stress all at the same time.
Yep.
Okay, deep down in your heart, in your mind, how do you really feel about the direction that you want this book to take and the acceptance of it?
That's deep.
That's nice. Well, the direction I want to say is off to a great start.
Okay.
Pre-orders, I've already have contacts from Seton Hall University, New York University, and also from the Philippines. The readers is actually seeing this. There's already been 100 people who viewed this dissertation within the fire scope.
Congratulations.
And I'm actually giving back. I'm putting the hand back. Thank you. I'm giving the hand back and listening to everyone who has questions. I have questions from like Curlin asked at the beginning, why did you go back 200 years? Why did you go way back with education? Why are you taking it this? Also questions is, how did you write so well? How did you get everything to fit in that dissertation?
Wow.
And also direction towards not just professors, but also ones who are going through it. I wanted to help the ones going through it, the process, just one at a time, changing the one scope or one idea is really just to get you thinking about what's next or what you can go through to make it better. So that's really the direction of this book, and direction just helping not only the person, but academics and also the person teaching academics. So that's basically where the direction I see this book going, or where it's gone so far.
That's great.
And in terms of the acceptance, do you want it like worldwide? Do you feel that you want to make it a multicultural read?
Definitely. Good question. I definitely want it worldwide. I think it's a language breaker. I think it can break languages. It also can change within the stereotypes. It can change stereotypes all over. I don't think it's just an American story. This can be related to Australia, to China, to anyone with depression or oppression. It can definitely change lives. So I definitely think this is global. This is a global size book. I know it's called the Black Male Counter Story, Successfully Achieving Degrees. But I said earlier, this could be all about everyone, not just Blacks. I definitely not just want to put it in a box.
Right.
Say that is one culture for all. I want to one size fits all. I really feel that this dissertation can take or set apart of examples of other schools, even undergraduates, and to show that we can succeed within the graduate levels.
See, I'm glad you said that, because that really brings up my next question is how, in particular, how can institutions of higher education better support Black male students and help them succeed? So we're talking about institutions such as your predominantly white institutions, even your HBCUs. Let's go deep with it. How can both of these, with that juxtaposition of HBCU where we see us, we're represented, but also how can we feel better represented? And I know it's a double part question, but how can you explain in particular how these institutions can better support Black male students?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm hearing what can others do better as well, or what can we do? I would first say relationships. I think relationships is big. Having the right relationship with either the same race or other race from you, I want to say that's real big. That's how you can move forward with motivation, determination, and just having the same goals and be able to share your ideas within the relationship. Secondly, I would say find someone who cares. You want to have somebody who cares. You want to show interest that you really care about this subject or this topic. And even if you don't care, show some interest that you can help. So have that working relationship where you can work and you can also share your opinions. And also, number three, I would say have a free space, having somewhere you can have and share your ideas without being criticized or without getting looked or on a bad situation. So just being able to talk. So I would say the big three things is having a relationship, basically having a working relationship. You still got to put the work in within the relationship, and then improving the relationships as well.
Wow. See, that's important because, at Building a Better Tomorrow Today podcast, we're all about cultivating relationships. And I'm glad that you mentioned those stages. You can't just jump right into a relationship without building it first. And then, like you just mentioned, improving that relationship. So we hope all of our listeners, we hope you all are listening and are excited because we have more in store. This is just the beginning of something amazing. We're talking about groundbreaking theories here. The fact that this book not only, like you were saying, highlights these different men in academia, however, it does bring forth to light the importance of embracing these diverse stories. Because I like that you started at the beginning where you said it's about the triumph, not necessarily the struggle and that stereotypical view of the Black men. So I love that you're changing the narrative and pushing the conversation forward in such a historical way.
Yeah.
Don't you all agree?
I have a comment statement that's a little bit unrelated, but it is related in that I know you went to Japan and you presented on a story you wrote then called, what was that called? Shikata, right.
Doing the right thing.
Yeah, doing the right thing. And so those two stories, the one you presently have and Shikata, kind of connect in a way. And that I remember Shikata was about honing in on finding your best self and relating in life in a way that showed care for the environment and for people and for human rights.
I love that.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And it seems like both books kind of connect. Wouldn't you say so?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, Chicago, that was definitely a great book. That book got me to Japan in 3 different conferences in San Antonio, so I'm definitely grateful for Chicago.
Wow.
I remember that.
It was basically doing the right thing. The Japanese soldiers, the war was over, and they still didn't surrender. They asked their commander-in-chief. The commander said, the war is over. And the surrender said, we don't know how to quit fighting. We must keep fighting, keep fighting. So that's kind of Chicago, and you see the correlation of the Black male story.
Wow.
That keep going.
Oh, okay.
Surrender. So
Wow.
you see that correlation there. And then also within the garden, you see how everything works as one. Everything's in a working function as one, where the water, you can hear the water sounds of the waves and the rocks. And as you walk over the bridge, the connection of life, you'll see the connection with the Black male counter story, where everything works as one as well.
Wow.
Feed theory, circulation, as it works to a better tomorrow with the podcast, but also a better tomorrow within the higher education system, and not even just in school, but outside of school as well. So
Wow.
I definitely saw those correlations.
I'm like Amelia. That's what's good.
That's what we need to, okay? Finger snaps. You just
Yeah, I like
really
that.
took us to church on that one, okay?
Yeah.
And I just love I would say the beauty in your journey. So full disclosure, you all listeners, this is my older brother, okay? The one who motivated me to get into my dream school, USC. So I'm currently at USC studying human resource management. And if it weren't for my brother, I wouldn't have got into that master's program. And I just love that, like how you said earlier, it's not in particular just talking about Black men, but your book does highlight the beauty of how Black women too play a part within this. Because you bring up a term about other mothering. So I know that we're going on a little bit, but I just have one last question. So can you talk about this term, other mothering? Because I know that when the readers read this book, they're going to be like, oh, that's what they were talking about. Because I know some people are going to say with this title, what about the women triumphing and us getting our graduate degrees? So I like that you do have a chapter and a section about that. So if you wouldn't mind just elaborating on the other mothering and that term that you were able to bring forth within the text.
No, thank you. Thank you for reading that. That's definitely an important, not just, I want to say my participants, but I actually worked within my experience. So it's called Other Mothering of the Academy.
Okay.
So that's where a female, particularly of the academy, will play the mother nurturing role. Will basically, I want to say, look out for students of the same kind. It will not just be for educational. Like, say you need a haircut. That teacher will tell you, hey, brother, it's time to get a haircut. I know a place where you get a haircut.
We all had a professor like that.
Yeah. So it's more than just about academics. There's somewhere just there, I want to say, I wouldn't compare it to a mother, but that's what the academic called. It's called a mother's academics. So me, within my experience, I only had 2 Black females within my experience. So that really played a big role in my experience.
2 Black female professors?
Yeah, yes. One was a dean. So she actually helped me throughout. She actually employed me. So she actually helped me, show me the business within the universities. And then second, I had an adjunct professor. She was a Black female. She helped me. She would send me Bible verses, and she would help me with she knew I would get writer block. So she would help me motivate through the word, through the power of word.
I love that.
That shows how other mothering was important. But not just me, my other participants. It came from the participants. And then I defined it later how the correlation came. But during the participants' conversations and through analysis, other mothering came about. And that's how it got defined during the characteristics, and see why other mothering play a big role within academics inside and outside.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
I just want to say that I, as your father, I am very, very, very proud of your accomplishment and your success. And I feel that by you being in the 1%, it's like such a joy to know that you're there. And I hope that, for mothers, fathers, sons, daughters, high school academia, college academia, I hope they take your message and go further with it and strive for being in that 1%. And then with your help and your success, you could take that PhD from a 1% and bring it up to 2 to 5%. And that's the goal. And that's where I feel that, with continued support and with continued, blessings and just creating, that will definitely happen. And once again, man, I am very, very proud of you. And I hope that, fathers are listening out there, mothers are listening out there that can be very proud of their son or daughter one day that makes it to the 1% of education.
That's awesome. Thank you, Pops.
You're welcome. All right.
That definitely was my motivation. The family, one of the family, definitely my motivation. My 2 sisters, my pops and my mother, thank you all. That was a motivation, how family keeps you going. Even though they're not there all the time, they're there physically and mentally. They're there for you all the time. So working with them, working with family, definitely something to show for. And thank you for that.
Of course. And we love you.
And we just, to our audience, what would you like to, I know we asked this question several times, but just to our audience, what would you want to say in like a nutshell?
I like that.
That's a great question. There's a lot to say in the dissertation. I know how this was over, I want to say 285 pages, so that would be tough. I know the biggest thing I know people were kind of reading over or running over is mental health awareness. I think mental health awareness was big. It came up, I want to say, within all the participants in some form or fashion, if it was either racial fatigue or depression or isolation, it was some form of health awareness. I definitely want to get mental health awareness out there. And I also want to say in a nutshell that you can do it. If I can do it, you can do it. So I definitely wanted to let people know that I'm not only a frontier, but I believe that not only myself, but other people can do it as well. And with the help and the guidance, with the right guidance and mentorship, they'll get you there.
Wow,
Very
wonderfully
good.
said. And
All
I just
right.
love that. This is my last point that you brought up mental health. I was waiting for someone to bring that up because you all know in my background, I studied marriage and family therapy at Pacific Oaks College with an emphasis in trauma studies. So when I read this book, I was just thinking about I would say the dichotomy, right, of mental health and having to be like the machismo, the strong persona, always having it together. There's this huge stereotype, especially within our community. Let's keep it real. Within the African American community, I know even for me, right, being a Black woman in the workplace, we're always given these heavy workloads, multiple tasks. Oh, you can handle it. I was even at the dentist the other day. Sorry to be off topic, but he, treated me just like, oh, you can handle this pain. I said, no, you need to numb my mouth some more because I can feel everything. He's like, you're good. You're okay. And I said, sir, so having to speak up and assert ourselves. And I just think that is so important with mental health.
That's a good point.
Thank you for that. For us to be okay with being vulnerable, to say, like you were saying earlier, reaching out to your village.
Right.
Saying, hey, you know what? I might need you to spot me until Friday. Okay. This is college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that is so beautiful what you did. You highlighted the diversity, the variety of these Black men. Okay. In the book, you have Black men from different cultures, different countries, internationalities, ethnicities. And I just think that is so beautiful to show the diaspora. You know what I mean? I just wanted to end on that. And lastly, just ask you if we left out anything, if you wanted to let us know how we can find you online, let our listeners know.
Two things. Thank you for this beautiful podcast. But first, I also want to shed light on the ones before me. I want to, it can get deep from Du Bois from Washington, Booker T. Washington. I definitely want to show that they were the found fathers. And more presently today, from Sean Harper, who wrote the foreword for my book from USC, and also Langston Hughes, all the different Black prominent leaders who paved the way. So I definitely want to give guidance and give acceptance and kudos to the ones before me.
Round of applause.
Dr. Howard.
Yes.
We want to give that. I know that it just didn't originate from me. Even though there's wasn't a lot of information, I want to feel like I made a statement, or I went ahead and made a difference within the higher education as well as others. But to find me, I'm definitely my email is al.furlow@yahoo.com. And also you can find me at LinkedIn, the same name, Al Furlow. So I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, also at Yahoo. But that's definitely I wanted to share. I definitely don't want to forget about the ones before me. And I definitely want to be in the high running for the future and for the present and past.
Wonderful.
Right. That's great.
Good.
Well,
Okay.
congratulations on all your accomplishments thus far. And we expect nothing but the best from you going forward. And I think you are amongst those men, the Langston Hughes and the Booker T. Washingtons and all those intellectuals of yesterday. They have the Al Furlows today.
Right.
Yeah.
And we
love that.
thank you for your time and diligence and consistency with your travel and what you have gone through in getting your degrees and completing your dissertations. We thank you and we love you and we wish you the best.
And I would just like to say that feed theory is going to be huge. It's going to change and shock the world because that particular theory is definitely going to show that, there is progress and progression that needs to be made in the country, not only in this country, but in society as well.
Right. Thank you for that. Yeah, the feed theory is not just for us to do something, but others as well. It's getting active. We must do something. And enduring what we've endured and still endured, and that engagement there. So having the Furlow engagement theory, that is the way to go. Thank you for that.
Like they say, feet don't fail me now.
And I just wanted to end on, for all of our listeners curious how they can purchase copies of his new book coming out, head on over to www.thediversedimensions with an S on the end.com. Pre-orders are available, and we will have the launch date on our website. And we all love to say, if you have a book in your head, get it out of your head and what?
Put it on lead.
Let's go. Thank you so much for tuning in.
All right.
Have a
Okay.
good one.